What if I told you Salt Lake City is one of the most underrated cities in the country? But it's not for everybody. Some people move here and say it's the best decision they've ever made. Others wish they'd known a few things before they packed the moving truck and headed this way. Today, I'm going to break down the real pros and cons of living in Salt Lake City, Utah. Not the sugar-coated version, and certainly not the doom and gloom version, but the honest boots on the ground version of someone who lives here, works here, and helps people move here every single week. If you're thinking about moving to Salt Lake City, or if you're just trying to decide if this city is the right fit for your lifestyle, this video is going to save you a ton of time, money, and stress. Let's get into it. My name is Kenny Maddie. I'm with Equity Real Estate, and I help people just like you move to Utah every single day. If you're looking to make the move, my info is down in the description below. Be sure to check it out and let me know how I can help. Salt Lake City sits right at the base of the Wasatch Mountains. It's the economic hub of Utah, has become a major relocation destination for professionals, families, outdoor enthusiasts, and remote workers. But like any city, it comes with some trade-offs. We're going to start with the top 5 pros, and then we'll discuss the top 5 cons that you should seriously consider before moving here. Now, pro number 1, unmatched access to the outdoors. Now, this is a big one and it's very hard to overstate. In Salt Lake City, it's one of the few places that you could literally be skiing within 30 minutes of downtown. You could honestly hike, trail run, mountain bike, or do an outdoor activity before you go to work in the morning. And then you could paddleboard and kayak after dinner. Like, Salt Lake City is really that close to all of these outdoor activities. Along with that, you can take weekend trips to places like Zion, Bryce, Canyon, Moab, and other national parks. The Wasatch Mountains are literally in your backyard, along with so many great places for outdoor enthusiasts. So for people that truly value a good work-life balance and outdoor recreation, this is a massive quality of life upgrade. And this is not just for elite athletes. There's trails, parks, activities, and other things that are good for the whole family, and no matter what your skill level are. Number 2 is a strong job market and great economic growth. Salt Lake City has always been one of the strongest economies in all of the United States. They have key industries including tech startups, healthcare, finance, logistics, and outdoor and recreation brands. Unemployment has historically stayed below the national average, and the city continues to attract companies and talent from higher cost states like California and Washington. For buyers, this is very important, and it matters because job stability supports home values. Demand helps keep the market resilient. We've always stayed above the national averages. Even when the market has been down in many other places across the country, Utah has remained strong. And Salt Lake County in particular has always had a very positive job growth, unemployment rate, and other market statistics that have tracked more favorably than the rest of the country. Pro number 3 is that it's relatively affordable compared to other similar cities. Now let's be real, Salt Lake City is not cheap anymore. It used to be. It's really not anymore. It's getting worse, unfortunately. However, if you compare it to other cities like Denver, Seattle, or anywhere in California, it's very affordable. And when you trade off the pros and cons of what you get for what you're paying for, it's definitely a lot less expensive. When you're comparing it to places like that, you're getting more house for your money. You're paying a lot less in property taxes most of the time. I mean, if you compare us to a lot of states, our property taxes are actually quite cheap. So for many people that are relocating from the West Coast in particular, which is where we get a lot of influx from, they're going to notice that Salt Lake City feels like a great financial reset in a good way, that they're going to get a lot without sacrificing their lifestyle. Pro number 4, and this could be a pro or a con, depending on who you ask, but you get 4 true seasons, and for most people, that's going to be a good thing. If you like variety when it comes to weather, Utah's going to offer snowy winters, which is great for skiing and outdoor recreation, and then you get almost perfect spring times with perfect weather. You'll get some rain, but it's really sunny and nice most of the time. You're going to get warm, dry summers that only get really unbearably hot for a couple days of the year. And then in the fall, you're going to get exceptional weather as well. But that also comes with the fall colors that you get in the mountains where the leaves begin to change, which is really cool. You don't get all the extreme humidity that you get in places like the Midwest or the South. And you certainly don't have the endless gray skies like you'll get in places like the Pacific Northwest. You get a good variety. And I think by the time that you start to get like to the point where you're too cold or too hot or need a change, the weather's just about to change anyways. And so, you always get that constant variety, which makes it an interesting place to live. And then depending on the seasons, there's always so many different things to do, whether that's recreationally or, different sports or events or things that go on throughout the city. Obviously changes as the year goes on. Yes, the winters are real. We will have several days that you will just get pounded with snow, but overall it's not too bad. And as long as you got a car that has either 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive or a truck or something that gets around okay in the snow, snow, you're going to be just fine. And I'd recommend buying a snowblower as well. But obviously that's kind of what makes Utah, Utah is the snow. Greatest snow on earth has always been our tagline. Obviously, if you love skiing and snowboarding and those outdoor winter sports, this is the perfect place for you. Pro number 5 is that it's safe, clean, and family friendly. Salt Lake City consistently ranks well for safety, cleanliness, and a well-maintained infrastructure. There are solid school options depending on the area, and there's always a strong sense of community. So even if you don't have a big family or kids, you're still going to love the overall stability and sense of community that Salt Lake has to offer. All right, so those are the top pros. Now let's talk about some of the negative aspects of moving to Salt Lake City. Con number 1, home prices have risen fast. Now let's talk about the top concern that I have for buyers. Like many places across the country, the home prices in Salt Lake City have increased substantially over the past several years. What this means is entry-level homes have become much more competitive and in some cases completely unaffordable. You may need to adjust expectations. A lot of people that think that they're going to get into a nicer townhome or a single family home for their first property may have to settle for something like a condo or a twin home or something a little smaller and a little bit more modest. But because of this, strategy matters more than ever. You really need to have an action plan when you're going into the market as far as what you're expecting and what you need to do to get what you want. I mean, the good news is prices haven't risen for no reason. It's really just been the strong demand and the limited supply. A lot of people are moving here. A lot of people need homes. And because there's been a limited supply, that is what has driven the prices up. But if you're buying a home here, affordability is something that you need to plan very carefully. You need to be prepared. You need to speak to a good loan officer about what programs are available to you. There's a lot of things out there to help home buyers, and with a strategic plan and a good agent, you can set yourself up for the best possible situation. Con number 2 is going to be air quality issues. Now, we were just dealing with this in the last couple of weeks, the inversion. I don't know if you've heard, but Salt Lake City does sit kind of in a bowl. We got mountains on all sides, and we have to deal with inversion, the smog, the dirty air and pollution, unfortunately. Due to the valley geography, Salt Lake City can experience inversion during the winter months, which traps pollution and impacts the air quality. Now, for a few days there a couple of weeks ago, it was actually South Jordan, which is a suburb of Salt Lake City, experienced some of the worst air pollution in the country for a few days, and it got really bad and it was unhealthy. So it's something to be mindful of. It only happens for a handful of days a year, usually, where it gets really bad. But it does happen. Most of the time the air is perfectly clear, but there are those times where the weather just sets up just right and traps that pollution in the valley. It's something to definitely be mindful of, especially if you have any respiratory issues like asthma or any breathing issues, because it can affect those things and it can have some negative impacts on your health. And usually on those days, it's better to just stay inside and stay out of the smog for the sake of your health. Now, con number 3 is that there's limited nightlife and entertainment. Now, it's no surprise that Salt Lake City has limited nightlife. It's been well documented. I mean, especially if you pay attention to sports. I know there's a lot of professional athletes who don't want to come to Utah because we don't have a nightlife. So if you're coming from a city that has this huge nightlife and you enjoy that type of a lifestyle, Salt Lake City is going to feel quite a bit different and much more quiet. The bars will often close earlier. We have more strict alcohol laws than other states, and most of the entertainment options that we have are going to be a little bit more low-key. That being said, the restaurants, the breweries, concerts, and events, they've all grown quite a bit, but we're definitely not a Vegas or a Miami or anything even close to it. And the thing about Salt Lake City is it's not trying to be. For the most part, it's going to be a lot more conservative. You'll notice that things often will close on Sundays. Obviously, the culture and the religious background of most people here in the state do influence the way the city is run. So if you're looking for a city with a hoppin' nightlife and you like to, enjoy that type of lifestyle, Salt Lake may not be the best fit for you. Now, con number 4, traffic is getting worse. Unfortunately, it's getting a lot worse. Obviously, with more people here, the traffic has increased. The infrastructure is not kept up with the demand. We have a lot more people here than we have room for on the roads sometimes. And also, we're experiencing a lot of construction on the roads as they rebuild and repair that infrastructure. So if you're traveling along I-15 or some of the major highways or freeways during the peak hours, you're gonna have to sit in traffic. Now, if you compare it to other major metro areas, like I was just in Los Angeles a few weeks ago, and it's hard to drive there. Like it's nothing like that. So if you're coming from California, it's gonna feel like a breeze, but it is getting worse, and I don't think it's gonna get any better anytime soon, because they're constantly repairing and rebuilding the infrastructure to make new roads. But people are just coming here faster than we can do that. So Bangor Highway just received a big overhaul where they took out all the traffic lights. That's going to help now ease up some of that traffic. We also have Mountain View Corridor, which is north-south highway, which helps free up a lot of the congestion. Unfortunately, they're going to be turning that into a freeway, so I don't know what that's going to bring when it comes to construction and traffic, but hopefully it won't impact it too bad since Mountain View Corridor is already there as a frontage road. You want to make sure that when you're planning your commute to whether your job or your schools or wherever you need to go, that you know what the traffic is going to be like during the hours that you are commuting. Con number 5 is it's not really a cultural fit for everyone. Now, Salt Lake City is definitely diverse and it's evolving and it has grown a lot. It's changed a lot over the years. It's not what people used to expect Salt Lake City to be like. It's definitely more diverse than most people think and expect. However, Utah's cultural roots definitely still influence the area. Now, for some people, it's going to feel very welcoming and community-oriented, but for others, it might take time for you to find your social circle or the people that you feel like you fit in with. And this is also highly neighborhood dependent, depending on where you are at, which is why choosing the right area is going to be very important. But it isn't going to come as a surprise to most people that the culture in Utah and Salt Lake City in particular is going to be a little bit different. So it's going to take some getting used to. So just know ahead of time that it might take a little time to evolve and get used to what it's like here. But I think most people, once they do, they find that they really love it here. And it's a great place and that there's a lot more diversity than most people would think. So is Salt Lake City a great place to live? For the right person, absolutely. And for most people, I think absolutely. I've lived in Salt Lake City my entire life and I absolutely love it here. I can't imagine living anywhere else in the world. I've lived in different places for short periods of time and there's really no place that I would rather be than here in the Salt Lake Valley. If you value things like outdoor access or outdoor recreation, economic opportunity, long-term stability, and a well-balanced lifestyle, Salt Lake City can be an incredible place to call home. But it's certainly not a one-size-fits-all, and that's where professional guidance really matters. So if you're thinking about moving to Salt Lake City or anywhere in Utah, I would love to help you navigate it the right way. I work with buyers relocating from out of state all the time, and I can help you choose the right neighborhood, understand the local market, avoid costly mistakes, and help you feel confident in your decision. So if that's something you're interested in, you can certainly reach out to me. I'm going to put my info in the description below where you can book a call with me, you can check out my website, or you can give me a call directly. And if you've enjoyed this video or found any value in it, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who might be looking to move to the Salt Lake area. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.